Hey everyone, welcome back to the Garage Mine. I'm Tony as always, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing a head-to-head stag battle style. Now on this side, I have batch D. It comes in at 129.2 proof. And on this side, I've got an older stag at 131 proof. I think it might be batch 18. I'm pretty sure it's batch 18. You know, before they started putting which one it is on the front there. I'm pretty sure it's 18. But either way, it's one of the earlier higher proof releases. The question is simple. Did Stag get better, worse, or just different? Quick background before we drink. Stag is a Buffalo Trace barrel proof bourbon line. Cut, filtered right from the barrel. It used to be called Stag Junior. Like I said in a previous video, I don't know why they took out the Junior. I don't know. I don't even think Junior was on this, but I think they took it out already. So it's got to be maybe, I don't know, 2023 or something like that. Winter. Not sure. If you know, let me know why they took out the Junior, if that's even a thing or just a marketing thing. Let me know. I'm curious. I'm always curious. So 25D is one of the newer batches. That's this one right here, bottled at 129.2 proof and said to be around 8 to 9 years old. I found out, I made a video of that too. I didn't know at the time I made a video of this one, but now it's said to be around 8 to 9. Speculation or real? I don't know. The older 131 proof bottle is from an earlier wave of Stag releases when these were getting a crazy reputation for huge flavor and big spices. Like I said, when I got involved in an earlier video on when I got involved into bourbon, I paid a lot of money for this guy because I was just hearing the hype. And you know, the normal hype Buffalo Trace, you got to have that bottle. And like I said before, and I'll say it again, I like to warn people, drink what you like. Don't always follow the hype. Know your facts because I paid too much money for it and I felt a little salty. But that's life. You live and you learn. Just know your prices, know what just it is, and get your money's worth. All right, enough talk. Let's pour. So I'm gonna start with 25D. This is a quiet pop. All right. Like I said, I'm gonna start. This is 25D Stag, and on my right, then compare it to the 131 proof Stag on the left. Let me pour 131 up. We're just gonna call this batch 18. And if I'm wrong, let me know. So we're gonna do 25B first. So I'm getting a lot of classic Stag notes, of course. You get that vanilla up front, dark caramel, toasted oak, baking spices right up front. Easy, simple, Stag. There's some brown sugar and a little dark fruit in the background, plus a peppery spice that you expect. It smells bold, but pretty balanced for the proof, which they do a really good job. Now, let's get to the older 131 Stag, 131 proof. Right away, this one feels richer, sharper, more fruitier, more oaky. The more oaky is prevalent on this one a lot. It is just straight oak for sorry, I can't speak. Straight oak forward on the 131, the older one. I get, the common notes from older stags, including rich chocolate, brown sugar, cherries, cinnamon spice, and a bigger oak. One thing's prevalent on this one. Sorry, all that proof is getting in my contacts. The bigger oak is very prevalent on the older edition of stag, for sure. It's very oak forward. This one spent a lot of time in the barrel. To my nose on the older stag, it's deeper and darker, 100%. Uh, Compared to the 25D, it's not a question. It's super dark and it's super oaky, hands down. If I had to pick a winner on the nose only, I'd go with 25D just because I like those sweet vanilla caramel smells on the nose. Love it. They're very pleasing to me. Now let's taste them. My favorite part. I'm going to start with 25D, the newer edition. On the first sip of 25D, definitely heat at 129.2. You taste the heat, but also you get a good hit of brown sugar and caramel sweetness. It's a good mix. On the palate, I get brown sugar, charred oak, dark fruit in the middle, dark fruit, and then peppery spice and cocoa on the back end. And as I talked about my review of the 25D by itself, I normally don't like cocoa, but it works here. And I normally don't get cocoa in Stag. And when I do, I don't like it, but it works here. The texture is a little thinner than I expected. It feels, like I've said in the other review, it feels a little younger. It's had some time to sit now. It's still thinner and a little younger. It's definitely not the 8 to 9 years that are. It doesn't drink. Sorry, this one was 8 to 9 years. I'm not sure what batch 18 is. 8 to 9 years. It doesn't drink 8 to 9 years of the meat. I don't know. I feel like it should have a little. It should coat the palate a little better than that. Some folks have said that 25D feels, like I said, a bit younger than some of the older batches. And I understand that. Now let's get to the finish. The finish is long, oak heavy, and spicy. And it's weird because I said this one had more oak on it on the nose. On the nose of the 25D, I wasn't really getting a lot of that oak. It was there, but on the older one, the batch 18, the oak is it's definitely higher. You got that. You could pull that back from that was all the nose actually. Like I said, now on the older 131 proof stag, let's get to the sip on the older stag, batch 18. Wow. Immediately the proof is still bit, but the flavor more rounded, more explosive, more hotter. I'm getting that vanilla, like a toffee note, rich chocolate, brown sugars. Man, there's definitely like a maple on the background there. You get cherry and you definitely get cinnamon. It's very hot. You get big oak and a little smoke, but like good because I don't know. I have problem with smoky drinks too. When it's too smoky, it's blended perfectly. The finish on the older stag is very long and very strong, and you get oak. If I had to compare to the finish of the older batch 18, the older stag, it's even longer than the 25D. It's strong. It's the reason I got into the stag. There's more cinnamon, there's more heavy. You know, some reviews on this batch mention strong cinnamon and dark oak, and I definitely noticed that kind of profile here. Man, I'm starting to feel like, I mean, it's just way more of an experience. I mean, and more powerful flavors. I don't know where they skipped out on the 25D, but it was not a good idea. So, side by side thoughts. Here's how they feel to me. Stag 25D, you got big caramel, brown sugar up front, toasted oak and peppery spice, long, warm finish with cocoa and oak. And like I said, cocoa's not my thing, but it works on this one. It feels like a bold, modern proof stag, but maybe a touch simpler than the very best batches. Like I said, something's missing here. Now on the older batch 18, 131 proof stag feels more intense. It leans into the chocolate and the brown sugar with cherries and that cinnamon dry oak barrel taste. And then it finishes that goes on and on and on and on. This finish is long. And that's what I fell in love with Stag for. The finish is long, man. I mean, Stag, I don't know. I hope this is just a one off, but the older Stags are just such a different experience. If I had to put in simple words right now, Stag, and I'm trying to find the words for that to correctly describe it to you guys, equals a big, bold, a little younger feeling than normal. The old batch 18 at 131 proof, more complex, more mature, and just wilder, spicier, and more in your face, more upfront, more stag. Classic stag, whatever you think is, whichever bottle matches your taste, that's what you go with. Like I said, it's about the juice. I'm just telling you what I think. And 25D, I don't know. So, time to pick a winner. If money and rarity didn't matter to you, and I just wanted the best drinking experience in this moment, I would grab 131 proof. Why? Because to me, it tastes, you know, it gives you that full experience of what I'm looking for and what I think classic stag is. And don't get me wrong, at 20, it's good. And if it was the first stag that you've ever tried, that might be what you're looking for. But I've had a few now, and I think the older batches um, are just stronger. I don't know if they don't age them as long or what the changing process is. But if you're listening, Bull Trace, go back to the older batch. Whatever you did there, do it. Now thinking about real life at suggested retail, I think Stag 25D is a solid buy. It's definitely not something you should pass on. If you like, now when I say that, if you like higher proofs and those classic caramel oaks and spice notes, and you want that big, but you want that big finish, the older 131 proof is the way to go. Batch 18 or down. 25D, unfortunately, is the only one I've had of this. Well, it's 2026 now that I've had this year. So maybe the year changes. I'm not going to say. But last year, I don't think I got a stag at all. Yeah, I didn't get a stag from last year. So I don't know if this is just a one off or, every batch is different. So I'm not saying give up on it. But the older batches that I've had, and I've had, this is batch 18. I didn't have 2025, but 24s were amazing. I liked some of the 2023s and some of the 22s as well. Back to the batch 18. This feels more like a special occasion pour. It shows why people fell in love with Stagg. To me, my opinion, you know, this is why I fell in love with Stagg in the first place, and why certain batches have that fucking cult following. We've seen it all. This is why people chase Stagg. So, did Stagg get better or worse? My honest answer, it didn't get worse. It just got a little different. 25D is still a big, aggressive flavor bourbon. No doubt about that. And at or near, I'd absolutely buy if it was at or near retail. I did. $74, and I'm glad I did it. Um, and I'd absolutely be happy to own it and drink it because it's about what you love and it's about the juice. I can't say that enough. It's about the juice. It's going to be my catchphrase. It's about the juice. But side by side, comparing these two bottles, I do think the older batch has more character, more depth, more of that classic Stag punch. Now I want to hear from you. If you've had Stag 25D and you've had older Stag batches, tell me which one is your favorite and why. If you've only had one Stag in your life, drop the batch number or the proof in the comments so we can see what people are actually drinking. Let me know, maybe there's a common denominator that um, this that certain batch was amazing. And I'm definitely going to try to find it. If you like real side by side comparisons of bourbons and breakdowns with none of that snob talk, hit like, subscribe, and tell me what battle you would like to see next. Maybe Stagg versus Elijah Craig, which I think would be great because I think that's very close. Some of the higher proof Elijah Craigs, they obviously have some more of a certain note that I'll talk about in a review, but or actually maybe a Booker's. A Booker's would be really good too. I feel like that's close, but I feel like Booker's has the same sort of prevalent note that I won't speak of that Elijah Craig has, coming that they're from, I believe they're from the same distillery too. Are they both Jim Beam? Pretty sure they are. Anyway, I'm Tony as always. This is the Garage Mine, and this was Stagg versus Stagg. I'll see you guys on the next pour. Peace.